Hey, pre-calculus, good morning, good evening, good night, whenever it is that you're watching this. There's the beauty of asynchronous learning. In these videos, I'm going to encourage you to go against your instincts to sort of sit back and let all of this material sort of wash over you and to take some notes. It's scientifically proven that there is a connection between what you write and what you remember. So if you want to remember what's going on, taking good notes is a good way to do it. And say hello to Pikachu. Pikachu is kind of a fixture in this room, so he'll be joining us for most of the semester. Today we're going to talk about linear equations and inequalities. We're going to start with equations in this section, and hopefully this is a nice, sweet, easy review of some stuff you learned in high school. It's just a skill that we use all the time this semester, so we want to get a little bit of a review on it. All right, so I've got a linear equation here, and what a linear equation means is that all of the x's have the first power exponent. The exponent is a 1, understood here to be a 1. So there's no square roots, no x to the 5th, no any kind of weird things going on, just nice, easy, plain old x's to solve for. And this is a classic case of try to get all the x's on one side, get all the numbers on the other side, solve for x. But the first thing we want to do here is to kind of liberate that first x from its parentheses by distributing the 3. So let's see what happens when we do that. I got 3x, 3 times 2 gives me 6. And then the minus 2 and the 6x are just going to kind of hang out. All right, then simplify a little bit. Let's combine our 6 and a 2. So I'll get 3x. 6 minus 2 is plus 4 equals 6x. Doesn't matter what side of the equation I get the x's on. I'm going to get everything over there on the right. So let's subtract 3x from both sides. And that'll just leave me with a 4 on the left and a 3x on the right. And then always just focus in on your x. Once you get it by itself, it's attached to a 3 by multiplication. We undo that with division. And I've got an x equals 4/3. And that's our answer. All right. And don't panic when your answer is a fraction. Real life does not happen in whole numbers. It happens in fractions and decimals and all kinds of weird numbers. So I don't go out of my way to make sure that our equations come out to whole number solutions. Getting a fraction doesn't mean you made a mistake. 4/3 is a perfectly good number. Next up, this equation is still a linear equation. All of the x's are still understood to be to the first power. This one, though, has fractions in it. And I want to show you a trick that is an easy way to deal with fractions when you're solving an equation. All right, so I kind of wish that this fraction up front had a 2 sitting in front of it. I could think of that as a 2/1, and then it would cancel out the 2 on the bottom, just make it go away. But I can't just put a 2 on something, multiply something by 2 just because I don't like it. Otherwise, we could all just multiply our paychecks by 2. Okay, so what would be legal would be to multiply the entire side by 2 as long as I do it on the right as well. Then I keep the equation balanced. Okay, so that would help the first fraction, but I would have to distribute to the second fraction, and that wouldn't get rid of the 5. So what the second fraction wants is to be multiplied by 5. Okay, so we're going to multiply by both 2 and 5 at the same time by multiplying both sides by 10. So we're multiplying by the least common multiple, or if you want to think of it as the common denominator of both of those fractions. So I'm going to distribute a 10 to both fractions. So we're going to get a 10 times the first fraction, x plus 5/2, plus, and then the 10 goes to the second term, 2x minus 1/5. And then on the right, we'll just multiply 3 times 10 is 30. And then we'll let that 10 do its job. So we're going to focus in on the 2 and the 10. That will reduce to give me a 5. And then the 5 and the 10 will reduce to give me a 2. And then we'll just see what we have left in both of those terms on the left. So I have that green 5. Now that 5 was multiplying by the entire fraction, so it still needs to multiply by everything that's left. It needs to multiply times the entire x plus 5. So I'm going to give that x plus 5 a set of parentheses. All right. And then I've got a 2 left that's going to multiply by 2x minus 1, and then the 30. All right, and this looks like a much simpler equation. It's kind of like the last one that we did. We just got to get rid of the parentheses and gather up all our like terms and solve for x. So I'm going to distribute the 5 and the 2, and that'll leave me with a 5x plus 25. Distribute the 2, it gives me 4x minus 2, and then 30 on the right. Okay, all of our x's are already over on the left-hand side. We'll just kind of gather up our like terms. So I've got a 5x and a 4x to give me a 9x. And then I've got 25 minus 2, so I've got plus 23 equals 30. Let's scoot the 23 over to the right. We'll use subtraction to do that. And that gives me 9x on the left. 30 minus 23 gives me 7. And now we'll just divide both sides by 9. And x equals 7/9. Another fractional answer? No problem. All right, so this is all I'm going to do for reviewing solving linear equations. Hopefully that was very straightforward. In the next video, we're going to talk about solving inequalities when that equal to sign turns into a less than or greater than sign.